4 years ago, I was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. The doctors gave me 4 months to live. I was scared, but I knew I had to make it. I knew I was going to live. I was choosing to live. I have found the cure for cancer. My wellness brand, The Whole Pantry, now available on iOS and Android stores. Hey friends, remember Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the girl that was abused by her mom, forced to have diseases in the public eye just to get donations, the consequences of Munchausen by proxy on steroids? Well, what happens when you remove by proxy from that term? Well, you get Belle Gibson. In 2015, 60 Minutes Australia launched an interview that basically exposed this wellness founder of an app called Belle Gibson of having faked brain tumors just to convince people to use her app and use her methods like healthy eating and stuff like that. And the interview came out and she maintained innocence throughout all of the lies that were proven by court to have no basis in reality, so there was no reason for her to lie other than she wanted to. And much like Gypsy Rose Blanchard's story came to the small screen, now we have Belle Gibson's adaptation in Netflix's newest apple cider vinegar series. It says that it's a loose adaptation and Belle Gibson wasn't paid for any of it, which is good because she is literal evil. So I watched the series and listen, I was expecting some high-level drama, influencer drama, because if you didn't know, Belle Gibson basically stole the story from someone else. But it ended up being really sad. Belle Gibson, right? Australian woman who launches a wellness app called The Whole Pantry. It seemed like a great app from what I've seen in the series. It's like an app where you get recipes and ingredients to make said recipes for specific diets that you're following, whether you're paleo, gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. It had a lot of options and it looked pretty. And back then, back in 2012, 2013, there weren't that many apps, I don't think, in that space. But even if there were, it looked nice. So she kind of exploded. Problem is, once the app was established, she kind of got exposed for having faked brain tumors that she believed her methods were curing. Faking cancer as a starting point for her career, which, damn, she was not playing. Now, we've all lied online, I think. Not me. I'm a saint. But to use cancer to sell a wellness app, this is should be a medical scandal, but it kind of wasn't, I don't think. I researched the actual facts online of the people involved, and they kind of seem to add up pretty much throughout. It's pretty decent. So let me just give you a rundown because there's a lot of bad things happening in the series besides her lying, and it's dangerous. This shit is dangerous.
Absolutely. There's nothing left to lose, and if that requires a stat deck, then I'm comfortable with that. It's a hell of a lot of bad luck.
So in the series, we primarily follow two people, Belle Gibson and Milla something. Milla is loosely based on Jessica Ainscough, an actual Australian influencer that had a pretty much the same storyline as Milla, so heavily influenced. Let's kind of take her at face value for this series. And then we follow other minor characters and how the actions of both Belle and Milla affect them directly or indirectly. And the shit is really tragic. Trigger warning, content warning for cancer talk and death, because both of them happen plenty and one always leads to the other. So you're warned. Milla Gibson got diagnosed with a cancer in 2009 in her arm, and it was like a lot of lumps, cancerous. It was spreading really fast, and the doctors were like, hey, if you want to live pretty much, we have to amputate your arm, and that'll give you 88% survival rate. Pretty great chances, and I may be medically blind in the sense that I believe everything doctors tell me, but I would take the deal. I would chop it off right now. I wouldn't even want to wait a week or 2 weeks on the off chance that it spread to the rest of the body. I'd just be like, yep, just chop it off. Let's chop. Let's do it. But Milla doesn't feel right doing it. She feels like this is not the only way. So they do a pretty intense chemo session on her arm and that doesn't work. So they have to pivot to plan B, which is cutting off the arm. However, she reconnects with a childhood acquaintance who gives her a spiel about the power in you, whatever. She suddenly decides to stop thinking with her head and start feeling with her body. And this actually happened. So instead of amputating the arm, she researches alternative forms of medicine to treat cancers that aren't radiation, from chemotherapy, radiotherapy, that kind of stuff.
A white woman's Instagram.
she finds an institute in Mexico called the Hirsch Institute. I don't know if it's an actual thing. And the treatment that she starts doing works, seemingly, for like 2-3 years at least. Her cancer was in remission. She wrote a book, became famous. And the treatment she was doing for cancer, this is like next level deranged. Juices. For 2 whole years, she was just gonna drink juices and do 5 coffee enemas a day.
For 2 years, we have to drink 13 fresh organic juices a day.
And 5 coffee enemas a day.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of coffee enemas, but I'll tell you what, you lay on the floor, put a tube up your poop chute, and then just let a very diluted version of coffee go into your body and hope for the benefits to be absorbed really quickly, because that's the whole point of putting it up there. It's like, remember that trend when women were dunking their tampons in vodka and then putting them in because it would absorb the alcohol without you having to taste it and get drunk by drinking? I don't know what the benefits of coffee enemas are. I don't want to research them because 5 a day, I don't care what the benefits are. That is crazy. Also, your bowels aren't designed to hold anything and everything for whatever amount of time. So, like, you risk tearing your insides and getting an infection and dying from sepsis. Don't do it. But she was doing 5 of them a day, and she was drinking juices, and for 2 years, her cancer was in remission, or so we thought, until her mom speaks to someone at the Institute, and they're like, no, we encourage people to not get cancer exams for like 9 to 12 months or even longer. This institute, claiming to cure cancer with alternative medicines, aka nutrition, is telling patients not to get their cancer examined for like a year. So if it's growing, you won't know until a year later. I don't know exactly the details, but it made it seem like Milla was just feeling well while the cancer was metastasizing inside of her, and she thought she was cured. Or maybe the juices somehow fucking worked, because the basis for the juices is you're gonna starve the cancerous cells in your body, so you're not gonna feed them anything that they would need to grow. How you're gonna keep the rest of your fucking body working, I guess, is whatever else is left in the juices that aren't feeding the cancer. I'm not saying it's all bullshit, but it didn't work. Belle, on the other hand, our main villain, is a lonely pregnant woman in 2009. She has no friends, nobody kind of cares about her, and she's always had this fear of being a failure. As we'll come to find out later, her mom was pretty abusive. She neglected her a lot. So she developed this habit of faking medical emergencies for attention. This is her MO. She fakes illnesses to get attention, and that by definition is Munchausen, I think. And she's always wanted to create a brand online, so she had a brand called Organic Baby, and she even hooks up with a tech guy, an app developer, just so, she can get some support on that end of things, and then he kind of falls in love with her despite the age gap. And because she already has a son, he kind of bonds very quickly with that son, and she finds a strong family unit for all intents and purposes. This man, really loves her and would go to war with her. And that's the frustrating thing. This woman who lied for attention never realizes how lucky she is to have this family unit that genuinely loves her. And if you haven't caught on to that already, Belle is gonna basically steal Milla's story/idea. After lying about having a brain tumor online in a forum for moms, she comes across Milla's story, Milla's journey. She's in the news, she's done all of this, and she's like, oh wow, she's so inspirational, and pretty much every mommy in this blog loves the shit out of her. I wonder if I could turn my lie into a bigger story so people would give me attention. This shit is so sad. But it's not until Belle runs into Milla at an event that she loses it. And this is where parasocial relationships come in, because Belle is fully convinced that Milla will know her. But she gets there and Milla's like, you're a fan? She does not recognize this girl at all. So this gives Belle the incentive to go above and beyond and create an app, because this was around 2011, 2012. Obviously now, if someone claims to have cancer online, there's a lot of online investigators that will find out the truth pretty much in 10 minutes. But back then, it was very easy to lie and get away with things. But before she developed the app, she had a miscarriage. She was pregnant with Clive's baby. They had been trying. He really wanted to have a child, biologically his. But once that happened, she just shifted all of her attention from the baby to be to the app. She swindled a bunch of people into working for her for free. She promised them a percentage of profits rather than a salary. And at the time, it was okay, the profits could be really high. So she got this app done for free, basically, free labor, What a hustler. Despite her being a horrible human being, it's kind of impressive. And at this point, Milla and Belle's paths cross again, where Belle wins an award that Milla was also up for, and they kind of have a run-in. Then Belle eyes Chanel, Milla's best friend, as a new manager because she managed Milla's career at the beginning. Milla goes home, investigates a little bit online, does a little bit of digging, and realizes that Belle has a history of lying for attention, specifically with medical conditions that are quite serious, like heart attacks and strokes and a bunch of other things. Meanwhile, Belle convinces Chanel to go work for her because she has this opportunity to go to San Francisco and do like a photo shoot, handle all of that, and it'd be a great career move for Chanel. Milla's now down to selling juices from door to door. She goes to establishments and presents her bottles of juices that will cost $17 each. This was like 12 years ago, so the price is really fucking steep. And tragically, but also kind of expected, Milla's cancer comes back. Full force. Like, all of a sudden, she has a ton of new lumps in her arm. She's realizing, hold up, the juices that I've been drinking for the past 2 years aren't working. Yeah, no shit. Anyone could have told her that, especially her dad, who's been kind of on the fence about this whole thing. But, like, seeing that she's made a career for herself, making 6 figures. She always claimed to be great and to do exams, and the cancer was not back. So he was like, I have no reason to believe it's not working for you, even though I have my doubts. So to not embarrass herself, I guess, or expose herself as a fraud, because her whole brand is on the basis that these juices will cure your cancer, she just doesn't tell anyone. And instead gets this black cream that's not been approved by Big Pharma because it cures cancer and it will drive them to poverty, and starts lathering that shit on her lumps. It's this black salve cream. I can tell you what it doesn't do: cure her fucking cancer. And as all this is happening, Bella's deciding to be a bit more charitable. She meets a woman at the park whose son has the exact brain tumor that Belle always claimed to have had. The mom is like, wait a minute, how are you still alive? Like, I need to know. And she's like, well, I guess I've been lucky, but also these things that I'm doing have worked. Unfortunately, it's not enough to cure the woman's son, but there is an experimental surgery that she could sign her son up for, which is basically the only option they have of any hope that he won't die. Unfortunately, the operation costs $120,000. And this is so gross that there is an experimental surgery that could actually save a life, and we're putting a price tag on it that the person will die if they can't afford it. It's disgusting, but Belle sees a business opportunity with this child that has cancer, just to set up a fundraiser online, showing everyone how much of a cancer survivor and ally she is by championing the community to pay for this young boy surgery. And the intentions behind it are super fucking rotten, but the idea is great if she were to, donate those funds. And then Milla's mom, who's always been incredibly supportive of her daughter, gets diagnosed with bowel cancer. And this is where I wanted to punch Milla. I wanted to slap her, because now she's taking her delusions too far. She wants her mom to do the juices with her. She really believes in these fucking juices that she's already seen aren't working, and she wants to force that on her mom. And I understand the rationale behind it. She's obviously not well. She's incredibly stressed, and she wants to believe that these juices work. Otherwise, what has she been doing for the past 2/3 years where the cancer has been spreading and I could have just been living a healthy life minus an arm, and instead I'm here forcing my mom to try coffee enemas to free up her bowels instead of taking her to the hospital. And her father isn't happy about it because he can see that his wife is literally dying in front of his eyes. But his wife is a saint. She's like, what kind of mom would I be if I didn't try her way? You'd be a living mom. Hate to say it, but you'd be a living mom. You can respect someone's beliefs and delusions without actively taking part in them. You can still agree with your daughter's decisions and support her without doing the same for yourself. And I know it's easier said than done, but this woman accepts her daughter's invitation to go to the fucking Hirsch Institute and then collapses and passes away when they get to Mexico's airport. You know what her daughter was doing later that day? She was with her mom in the airport's morgue, which I didn't know were a thing. This is fucking tragic. And at this point, we'd been following Lucy. She's a new character. She's diagnosed with breast cancer stage 3 in the beginning of the series, and she goes through a lot of conventional treatments that stop working, and she eventually Following Belle's advice to seek alternative ways of treating your cancer, decides to drop all conventional methods and travels to Peru to do ayahuasca and hallucinate in the greenery. And she's important because her husband is the one that breaks the story that Belle is a fraud. He was very frustrated seeing his partner follow this online influencer so blindly. So when Chanel approaches him to do an expose on Belle, he's like all for it. He wants to take part in it. This is because Chanel found out that she was lying. The more she saw of Belle, the more she realized that Belle was actually a horrible human being. And after confronting her, Belle even agreed to come clean to all of her followers and claim that she was misdiagnosed with a brain tumor. Turns out, it was nothing. Just been pretending this entire time. But instead, and because she's already pitched her cookbook to a book company because she wants something physical, a physical piece of her career for her son to hold when he's older and feel proud of her mom. Again, that desperation for being adored and validated and loved. She goes online and says that she's been diagnosed with more cancers. So now she has pelvic cancer, spleen cancer, uterus cancer, blood cancer, plus the brain tumors that she has, plus the 3 heart operations that she's already had for the 2 cardiac arrests she's had, and the stroke. And people online just buy into the story. She's also able to plug in the book company in there and tells her followers that 95% of the proceeds are going to go to these specific charities. And that's key. Because as we'll come to find out with Justin and Chanel, he can't just expose her cancer story because medical records are like super private and it's really hard to prove that kind of stuff. And it's also a PR nightmare if you do go with a story and you can't prove anything and then you're just the magazine that picked on the person with cancer trying to make it in the business. I don't know if I skipped over it, but eventually Bella's app is launched and she has like over 50,000 new users in the first month. It becomes an organic thing. It's going to grow very fast. And Clive even suggests stepping back from the cancer narrative because, you know, they might find out later down the line that she doesn't have it and he knows that she doesn't have it. And now she kind of knows that he knows that she doesn't have it because she faked a seizure and at her son's birthday party in front of everyone. She copied the child that she promised to fundraise the money for the surgery. She copied that child at her son's birthday party because she was overwhelmed and needed everyone to feel sorry for her. This is deranged psychotic behavior. But Justin and Chanel can't prove that she doesn't have cancer. So instead, they think, wait a minute, she never paid any of her workers to develop the app. What are the chances that she simply never paid the charities either? And the easiest way to get that answer is to contact the mother of that kid that she promised to do a fundraiser for. And she's like, well, I haven't received any money, but we only need it when we put the down payment for the surgery up front. So like only when we have the date is when we'll need the money. But she told us she would give it to us. Someone tell this lady that people lie online a lot. A very lot. This is when it all kind of goes to shit for both of them. Her mom gives an interview, really explosive, saying that her daughter is very delusional and likes to lie for attention, and that gets her blood boiling. Meanwhile, Mila decides to finally tell her father, hey, the cancer is back. What I've been doing has not been working, and I'm sorry that she listened to me. Why did she have to listen to me? She breaks down in her father's arms, admitting that she knows she basically killed her mom, and she can't do anything about it. This is so sad and infuriating. Belle is given media training by her book company to prepare her for any upcoming interviews to make sure she has her story straight because of the claims of her mom, and it is stressful, but they have a recording to look back on and watch her lie. So it all comes down to a halt when Justin and his magazine decide to do an expose on her financial scams and fraud because she was claiming certain months that all proceeds from her app would go to this charity. All proceeds, like not even just profits, just everything that we've made. Before we take anything for ourselves, we're going to give it all to a charity. And come to find out, she wasn't sending anything to anyone. It's how she was funding her very lavish, expensive lifestyle. At the same time, Mila goes to the doctor to get her cancer checked out, and it was in her right arm originally, and now it's in her arm, her right lung, her right spleen, and in her left tibia. So the cancer is now all over the body. And the doctors tell her that she's ready to start planning her palliative care. So she's gone. Like, there's no hope. Let's just make you as comfortable as possible until you go bye-bye. Another incredibly heartbreaking but also frustrating part of the story. As soon as she said on that interview that the treatment were juices and coffee enemas, I was like, you're gonna die. You're going, and the fact that no one in her life slapped some sense into her, like, bitch, I know you're suffering. I know it's really difficult. Let's get you to a therapist, but juices and coffee enemas, let's think critically for like 5 seconds, please. Anyway, when Mila passes away, Belle decides to go to her funeral. She just walks in late, forces people to get up so she can pass through, and then as Mila's boyfriend is playing a guitar song in honor of his dead girlfriend, Belle starts sobbing uncontrollably loud. She had to make it about herself at someone's funeral. She's evil. She's very, very evil. So evil that at the wake, she infiltrates the house, starts catering to the party, and then goes to Mila's bedroom and starts going through her things. Now, obviously, all these details, I'm not sure if they actually happened or not. I think they're easily verifiable if you contact Mila's boyfriend at the time, because he walks into the bedroom, collapses on the bed, and there she is. And she starts talking to him about Mila's followers online and how they're going to need some sort of closure or someone to keep updating them at her wake. He's not as crazy as me because I would throw her out the balcony, but he does kick her out of the home. And as she's leaving in tears, she turns to Mila's dad and is like,
"She was so lucky to be so loved. You did a good job, okay?"
And I think this is the ultimate moment where you really see the crux of the problem with Belle, how much she envied Mila and all of the love she received, how desperate she is to get the same type of attention and validation. Hurt people, but this is some unhinged type of hurting people. So they published the article exposing her as a fraud, as a scam artist, and people are either supporting her or attacking her, as usually happens when you have a following and you're exposed of something. Your diehard fans will be in your corner, fighting everyone with racist and fatphobic comments, because that's what they do when they want to defend a bestie. But it's enough for people to start questioning her cancer claims, because if she's lied about giving money to this child who's dying of cancer, she may have lied about actually having cancer. It gained momentum to the point where the book company was now looking at cutting their losses, and they look back at the interview that she gave them internally, and they're like, she's obviously lying. Like, why the fuck did you go ahead with this? This is shit. This is garbage. Avoidable garbage. And the woman that gave her the deal, after telling Belle, we don't buy recipes, we buy stories, and your story is important. Single mother battling cancer, cures herself of cancers with Whole Foods. What is there not to love? And given the celebrities that we have nowadays and why we worship them, it's not the craziest thing, okay? The Kardashians are a thing, and they don't do shit. So after saying all of that to Belle, she's now saying to the shareholders, wait. We sell recipes. We don't sell stories, okay? Like, it's not our fault that she lied. Like, we just like the book and the recipes. So they do what every company avoiding accountability does, and they're just gonna slowly distance themselves from Belle, slowly discontinue the book until eventually there is no more connection between the two. And that's what happened in real life. In real life, that also happened with Apple, with the book company. Yeah, she was involved with Apple because her app was like growing so much and it was like one of the top whatevers to look out for. I think they all got a fine to pay whoever a restitution for breaking these laws, because there were laws broken by lying to the consumers. And in the series, you don't see that, but in real life, she was eventually like fined for a bunch of stuff. And then she claimed that she didn't have any money. She was in fact in debt $5,000. So there was no way for her to pay any of the fines. And to this day, she hasn't. But she did go on 60 Minutes interview to give a half an hour interview that's available online on YouTube if you want to go watch it. I watched it, and it's just bananas how much this woman lies, where she basically maintains that all of the stories she told people were the stories she believed in. If she told people she had cancer, is because she believed in that moment that she did have cancer, because doctors convinced her that she had cancer. Like, there was this evil doctor whose life plan was to convince this one random woman that she had cancer. And there's illusions that her mom had MS, and I think that maybe seeing her mom get attention or sympathy from people, and it made her think, okay, if I also have a lifelong disease like that, then people are gonna super like me. Even more tragic when towards the end, after she's been neglecting her own son for ages to focus on this app and how many digs and jabs she's gonna take at Mila online, her son fakes having broken a hand in his sleep just for his mommy to give him attention and put a band-aid on it. So now her son is Munchausening around the house. This is out of control. Kids, let's have a house family meeting. Bitch, you don't have cancer. Just cut it out. Cut it out. It's enough's enough. And I think that's when she realizes maybe how deranged she sounded this entire time, or how dangerous her behavior is for her son, who she loves so much. But But in the end, there's really no repercussions. She took a step back from her public persona, and she's now somewhere in Melbourne, I think. She was paid $75,000 for the 6 minutes interview, apparently, though. According to the series, $75K, and she wanted that shit up front. She was like, no, not half now, not half later. I want it right now in my account, or I'm pulling out 5 minutes before they film. Another tragic ending is the mom who had the son with cancer realizing that there's no money coming. They're not going to pay for the surgery. They can't get a loan or a second mortgage on the house because they rent. So she just has to come to terms with the fact that her son is going to die in like a few weeks. And then she says something really it really hit me. She was like, I nearly lost my son while I was pregnant. I nearly had a miscarriage. Pretty much a miracle happened and he didn't die. And then when he was diagnosed with cancer, I questioned myself a lot. Would it have been better for him to have died back before I knew him? Or is this heartbreak worth knowing him? And that she ultimately chooses having known him every single time. And it's really, when you think about it, it's really deep. Like, they really went deep with this. Lucy has a somewhat positive ending. She goes to Peru, she does ayahuasca, hallucinates a little bit, lives her best life, comes back, decides that she's going to do conventional treatments again, but she's also going to focus on the things that she wants to do before she dies with her husband, Justin. And they kind of end the series by putting her through the ringer, but having fun along the way. And isn't that what life is about? You know what life's not about? Lying to your followers to launch a wellness app. But that happened. So I'll leave the link to the interview down below if you want to go watch it. It's actually kind of crazy. And I don't know how I feel about it because Caitlin Dever's performance was really good and she really humanized this character. She gave her so many layers that at points I was sympathizing with her, especially when she tells that to Mila's dad that he did a great job and she was so loved. I was like, damn, I can really see the hurt behind her eyes. So her performance was really good. It's really strange when someone is like such a clear villain, but they're able to give them so many layers that you still hate them, but you can kind of see how they got there. It's sad. It's tragic for everyone involved. This is why therapy is important, and also loving your kids and giving them attention and also calling out shit that you see happening that isn't real, like your friend making millions out of pretending to have cancer online. So if you see that, see something, say something, do something. And I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If I laugh too much throughout this, it's again my coping mechanism. Sad shit makes me laugh. If you don't laugh at sad shit, you're gonna have to cry. That's the terrible, terrible song. Let's erase that from memory. And like, comment, subscribe on this video, please, down below. Thank you very much. Good to see you. You're looking healthy and strong. I dig it. It's a new look. It's a cool look. Looks good on you. Keep it up. And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid, and stay stuttering. Bye, guys. I haven't spoken about my stutter in so long. Have people forgotten I have it? God, let's hope not.